What up, everyone? This is Mr. Lord, Dr. Professor, Dark Joker, with another edition of Where, Pick, and Dare, where I pick games for the various games that are occurring tomorrow. Whether it's football, baseball, basketball, basically whatever games I want to pick, I will pick them. With all that being said, on with the video. College men's basketball. NC State Wolfpack versus Clemson Tigers. NC State is a 32.5% chance to win. Clemson is a 67.5% chance to win. This is at Clemson, so NC State's unranked 12-6 record. Clemson's 18 nation, 16-3 record. Whatever stats, NC State is more points per game, points against, um, higher field goal percentage. Clemson has slightly more rebounds per game. NC State has more assists per game, slightly more blocks per game, and more steals per game. So these stats are so yeah, these stats are pretty close, so I think home field advantage is going to be a big thing here. So I think Clemson will beat NC State tomorrow. St. Louis Billikens versus Duquesne Dukes. St. Louis is a 84.2% chance to win. Duquesne is a 15.8% chance to win. This is at Duquesne. St. Louis 24 nation, 17-1 record. Duquesne is unranked, 10-8 record. For stats, St. Louis has more points per game. Duquesne has more points against. St. Louis has a higher field goal percentage and has more rebounds per game, assists per game, slightly more blocks per game, and Duquesne has slightly more steals per game. So the only stat where there's like a big difference is points against is an 11.1 difference in favor of St. Louis. The rest are pretty close. So, there is a home field advantage for Duquesne. Now, I don't necessarily know how big their fan base is. I don't know how if Duquesne is a large fan base. I don't know if St. Louis has a big one either. So I don't know how much home field advantage will actually matter here. But with that points against difference, uh, I think St. Louis will beat Duquesne tomorrow. Miami, Ohio RedHawks versus Kent State Golden Flashes. Miami, Ohio is a 59.3% chance to win, and Kent State is a 40.7% chance to win. This is at Kent State. So Miami, Ohio's 25 nation, 19-0 record. Kent State is unranked, 14-4 record. So for stats, Miami, Ohio has more points per game. Kent State has more points against. Miami, Ohio has a higher field goal percentage. Kent State has more rebounds per game, slightly more assists per game. Miami, Ohio has slightly more blocks per game and steals per game. These stats are pretty close. So if these were bigger fan bases, like Kent State would have the home field advantage could help Kent State. It's like a 4-hour drive between Miami, Ohio, and Kent State. Now, since they're in the same state, that may not matter as much because maybe you have some alum, whatever, scattered throughout. But I don't know if I don't necessarily think these two schools have large fan bases, like from a sports perspective. So I don't know how much they'll actually matter, like home field advantage. These are MAC schools. This is not like SEC, Big Ten, Big 12. These are MAC schools, like Group of Five. So I don't know how much home field advantage will matter. I mean, like that with the biggest difference is points against. It's a 8.6 in favor of Kent State. I mean, that's not a major difference. I think when it gets to like 10 or over, that's when it was like, okay, that's a problem. So I don't know who like part of it goes like I think this could be an interesting game. So this is so Golden. So the Golden Flashes, like they're 10-1 in home games. The RedHawks are 7-0 against MAC opponents. So that's going to be something we'll have to give there. So this could be interesting. Like it could be interesting. I mean, Miami, Ohio is favored by 1.5 at the time recording this. So I mean, this could be a good game. It could be. So right now, the only thing to go by is the rankings and the percentage to win. And with everything else, like I mean, that's what I'm going to go by. So I'm going to say Miami, Ohio beats Kent State tomorrow. Michigan State Spartans versus Oregon Ducks. Michigan State has a 74.8% chance to win, and Oregon has a 25.2% chance to win. This is at Oregon, so Michigan State is 10 in the nation, 16-2 record. Oregon is unranked, 8-10 record. I don't know why the spread's only 9.5 with that record. Holy crap! And with how high of a chance Michigan State's given to win. Anyway, so for stats, Michigan State has more points per game. Oregon has more points against. Michigan State has a higher field goal percentage and has more rebounds per game, assists per game, slightly more blocks per game, and steals per game. So the stat that's the big difference is like points against. It is a 10.4 advantage for Michigan State. The other stats are close, but the points against, so that points to like a defensive issue with Oregon. Even now, home field advantage will probably I think will help Oregon some, but the defensive issues I think are going to be a bigger deal. So I think Michigan State will beat Oregon tomorrow. Texas Tech Red Raiders versus Baylor Bears. Texas Tech has a 51.6% chance to win. Baylor is a 48.4% chance to win. This is at Baylor. So Texas Tech is 12 in the nation, 14-4 record. Baylor is unranked, 11-6. So yeah, so I mean, both of these are like as far as distance wise, Waco and Lubbock are like around 5.5 hours from each other. I mean, it's Texas, it's a big state. So it's not necessarily a quick drive for Texas Tech fans to drive to Waco. So yeah, so I mean, home field advantage could play a role here due to that. Now, but still, they're both in the state of Texas, so there could be some Texas Tech fans close to the area just due to the fact that they're both in the same state. But due to that distance, Baylor could have a home field advantage. Anyway, so for stats, Baylor has more points per game, points against, higher field goal percentage, more rebounds per game, slightly more assists per game, more blocks per game, and slightly more steals per game. These stats are pretty close, so I think home field advantage is going to be a big thing here. So I think Baylor will beat Texas Tech tomorrow. Vanderbilt Commodores versus Arkansas Razorbacks. Vandy is a 50.9% chance to win. Arkansas is a 49.1% chance to win. This is at Arkansas. So Vandy is 15 nation, 16-2 record. Arkansas is 20 nation, 13-5 record. So yeah, for stats, Vandy has more points per game. Arkansas has more points against. Vandy has a slightly higher field goal percentage. Arkansas has slightly more rebounds per game. Vandy has slightly more assists per game, blocks per game, and has more steals per game. So these stats are pretty close. I think home field advantage is going to be a big thing here. So I think Arkansas will beat Vanderbilt tomorrow. Georgia Bulldogs versus Missouri Tigers. Georgia's a 45.7% chance to win, and Mizzou's a 54.3% chance to win. This is at Mizzou. So yeah, so Georgia's 21 nation, 15-3 record. Mizzou is unranked, 13-5 record. So I guess the reason Mizzou's favorite is because they're undefeated at home. Like they're 11-0, and so yeah, so this game could be pretty interesting. So for stats, Georgia has more points per game, points against. Um, Missouri is a higher field goal percentage. Uh, Georgia is more rebounds per game, slightly more assists per game, more blocks per game, and steals per game. So the stat that's the big difference is points per game. So it is a 14.8 difference in favor of Georgia. Other stats are pretty close. Like the other stats, it ain't bad. Like they're pretty close. But the point stats, that's a big deal. Like that's the big deal. So Missouri. So while they may have a home field advantage and like the other stats are close, the points difference that's a big difference. So I think Georgia will beat Missouri tomorrow. Purdue Boilermakers versus UCLA Bruins. Purdue is a 63% chance to win, and UCLA has a 37% chance to win. This is at UCLA. So Purdue's 4 in the nation, 17-1 record. UCLA is unranked, 12-6 record. So for stats, Purdue is more points per game. UCLA is more points against. Purdue is a higher field goal percentage and is more rebounds per game, assists per game. Blocks per game is even, and UCLA is more steals per game. These stats are pretty close, so I think a home field advantage is going to be a big thing here. So I think UCLA will beat Purdue tomorrow. Kansas Jayhawks versus Colorado Buffaloes. Kansas has a 79.9% chance to win. Colorado has a 20.1% chance to win. This is at Colorado. So Kansas is 19 nation, 13-5 record. Colorado's unranked, 12-6 record. For stats, Colorado has more points per game, points against, slightly higher field goal percentage. Kansas has more rebounds per game. Colorado has slightly more assists per game. Kansas has more blocks per game, and Colorado has more steals per game. So yeah, I mean these stats are uh, pretty close. So I think home field advantage is going to be a big thing here. So I think Colorado will beat Kansas tomorrow. NBA. Phoenix Suns versus Philadelphia 76ers. The Suns have a 42.5% chance to win. The Sixers have a 57.5% chance to win. This is at Philadelphia. For injuries, for the Suns, Green and Booker are game time decisions, and for the Sixers, Embiid and George are game time decisions. For stats, Sixers have more points per game, points against. The Suns have a slightly higher field goal percentage. Sixers have slightly more rebounds per game. Suns have slightly more assists per game. Sixers have more blocks per game, and Suns have more steals per game. These stats are pretty close, so I think home field advantage is going to be a big thing here. So I think the 76ers will beat the Suns tomorrow. San Antonio Spurs versus Houston Rockets. Spurs have a 36.3% chance to win, and the Rockets have a 63.7% chance to win. This is at Houston. Um, for injuries, for the Spurs, Vassell is out. For the Rockets, Adams and Neeson are game time decisions, and Van Vliet is out. For stats, the Spurs have slightly more points per game and have more points against. Rockets have a slightly higher field goal percentage and have more rebounds per game. Spurs have more assists per game. Rockets have more blocks per game and have slightly more steals per game. So these stats are pretty close. So I think home field advantage is going to be a big thing here. So I think the Rockets will beat the Spurs tomorrow. Los Angeles Lakers versus Denver Nuggets. The Lakers have a 55.6% chance to win, and the Nuggets have a 44.4% chance to win. This is at Denver. So for injuries for the Lakers, Thiero and Reeves are out, and for the Nuggets, Gordon and Braun are game time decisions, and Jokic, Valanciunas, and Johnson are out. For stats, the Nuggets have more points per game, slightly more points against. Field goal percentage is even. Nuggets have more rebounds per game, assists per game. Lakers have slightly more blocks per game and have more steals per game. So these stats are pretty close. So if injuries weren't the big concern, then home field advantage would be a big thing here. And while that might help, these injuries are bad for the Nuggets. So I think the Lakers will beat the Nuggets tomorrow. Toronto Raptors versus Golden State Warriors. The Raptors have a 35.1% chance to win, and the Warriors have a 64.9% chance to win. This is at Golden State. For injuries, for the Raptors, Murray Boyles, Podol, Walter, and Barrett are game time decisions, and Hepburn is out. For the Warriors, Santos, Melton, and Curry are out, and Green's a game time decision. For stats, the Warriors have more points per game, points against. Raptors have a slightly higher field goal percentage. Warriors have slightly more rebounds per game. Raptors have slightly more assists per game. Blocks per game is even, and Warriors have more steals per game. These stats are pretty close. So yeah, with injuries, injuries are going to affect things. I mean, Curry being out, that's bad, and Green being being hurt, that's bad. So like these stats, I mean, but the Warriors, they really have good surrounding talent. That is what they have been known for a while. Like, and so that should help them, even though Curry's out. And Raptors, so these stats are close, and injuries, due to surrounding talent, each team has. I think Curry's injury will not be ill matter, but I don't think it'll be as big as like if it like some other teams with some injuries, like the Nuggets. So I think the Warriors will. So I think home field advantage is gonna be a big thing here. So I think the Warriors will beat the Raptors tomorrow. And that's it for picks. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening to my picks. Do you agree with them? Do you not? If you have different picks, you can put them in the comments. But other than that, please like, subscribe, and all that. Thank you for listening and look forward to the next video.